How are you guys? Welcome.
Hello
Hello.
guys.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Christy, Danny. How's it going?
Well, good. How are you?
Very good. Um, Doing some work,
Nice.
some studies as well. Happy to see you all.
Yeah.
Welcome to our panel for transformative technologies. We're going to be talking about the impact of emerging technologies on education, regeneration, and well being. It would be awesome if you guys can present yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you come from, and what are you doing now. Maybe Leah can start.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Leah Sauder. I am a language project specialist for Diplomatic Language Services, which is a language training organization in the Washington, D.C. area of the United States. And I get to work on a virtual reality team at DLS. So we create VR modules for adults that are learning foreign languages and take them into virtual field trips using our software.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Danny, you can go.
Yeah, of course. Hello everyone. My name is Dani Kami. I am entrepreneur in Colombia. I'm working right now in two regenerative projects. One of them is taking close the retail customers to the carbon credits, voluntary carbon credits market. And in the other hand, we have Refi Collective, that it's a community where when we are getting together companies, entrepreneurs, startups, and universities to make the inception of a regenerative mindset towards the use of decentralized technologies to implement new solutions for our planet. And so happy to be here with all of you cracks.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
You want to go, Alec?
Well, sure. Why not? So, as all of you can see, hello, welcome to this day three, panel. It's going to be like very insightful for what I know. And I am coming from Delhi, India. It's say about an hour and a half past midnight. So I try to keep myself awake for this session, because it was so interesting. So Animo Solution is a Web3 focused design and development agency. So we are trying to we work as a strategic partners to a lot of companies where we help them in UI UX, building their metaverse strategy, in creating metaverses, NFT marketplaces, and building applications on blockchain. Yeah, apart from that, I also run my own podcast, which is called The Future of Web. So where we try and get all the people who are working in Web3 as so it's a founders, investors, designers, developers, community managers, and anybody who's involved in that space. And we want them to come and share how they're impacting that space and how they're adding value to it. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me here. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Alec. And Christy, welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christy Herzog, and I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm here representing Prisma. Prisma is a totally new way to school. I am a mentor coach at Prisma, and I am also the community and partnerships coordinator. And at Prisma, we have a program that's for middle school and high school students, and it's online with lots of opportunities to meet in person. And we have a world-class team of curriculum designers that have built this perfect curriculum for kids that want to learn and families that want to learn in a global, connected 21st century learning community. And I'm so thankful to be here today and to meet all of you.
Amazing. Very interesting. Thank you, Chrissy. And Norma, welcome as well. Would you mind giving us some background about you and what you do?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So I'm very happy to see you all, and sorry not to be at minute present. I just arrived at Paris for NFT Paris tomorrow. So I'm basically intermediate painter, sculptor, and I'm doing bridges. I'm working on bridges between classical arts and NFT worlds and the metaverse. So for me, it's very important, this phygital element, to link physical works, classical works, and also which are done with let's say, classical technology, and NFT, digital worlds, and virtual realms. And lastly, I would like to, the project, so basically I'm working on a project, NoraVision Solar, which is a project, NoraVision Solar Metaverse, which is a project to paint old solar panels with classical oil colors. And I have painted 60 solar panels already, and I will paint 100 of them. And to expose those paintings in the old castles, and to do the digital twins of those castles from Vaduz, Bogensperk in Slovenia, and Mirna Castle in Slovenia. And lastly, to enter those digital avatars into the virtual galleries. So, and I have also gallery NoraVision and NoraVision Centralized Art Investments Company. So.
Wow. Very, very cool how you bring NFT into art and vice versa. Oh, I think you're
very inspiring to link old heritage and very old techniques with most newest approaches with these metaverses and yeah. So there.
Thank you so much, Norma. I can present myself a little bit. My name is Andrea Camargo. I'm an entrepreneur as well, studying a master's degree in entrepreneurship and innovation in San Francisco. I also work with Danny in our project Paramo. We connect end consumers with the voluntary carbon credits, fractionalizing the carbon credits to make it more accessible to people like us to support regenerative projects and take climate action. And also, well, my background is more into science than technology. I studied veterinary medicine because of all my love to animals. Now I'm more focused on the technology and Web3 and blockchain. I'm very passionate about how these technologies can empower different communities around the world to be better, to take care of each other, take care of nature and the animals. So I think it's really cool that we all have different backgrounds. I'm very excited for this panel. Let's just jump right into it. So the first question I would like to ask Leah and also maybe Christy will be, what are some emerging technologies that have the potential to transform education and learning in the future, and how might they do so?
Leah, would you like me to go first? So the first thing that I guess I am. The first thing that came to mind for me is Chat GPT. Chat GPT is changing my life and clearly going to change the world and change education. when we heard about ChatGPT in November, or when it was launched in November, and started playing around with it, it kept me up for multiple nights, just amazed at all of the things that we can do. And already I sense from the education community that this is going to be an obstacle and a way for learners to cheat. And of course, that can be a decision that learners make, but I don't look at it like that at all. I look at ChatGPT as just such a perfect springboard to take education to the next level. And I'm just so excited to see the things that are going to happen because of ChatGPT.
Yeah, definitely. It's a game changer for education. Actually, here in my school at Holt, we have been adopting ChatGPT to as a way to complement our strategies, our decisions. Like they are empowering us to use it instead of other schools that kind of start to prohibit it. Here we embrace the technology and we actually use it as a extra help to make us more productive and to have this critique in a different perspective. Maybe humans would do it differently. So it's very, very, you know, it could be overwhelming for especially the educators, the professors. It's like, oh, now I don't like, how can I tell a student to write a essay if ChatGPT can do it for them, you know? So it's kind of like now moving to how to give the right questions instead of the right solutions, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're seeing that at Prisma. This cycle, we are studying biomimicry and trying to find organisms that match the functions and variables that we're looking for in our product design. Middle school students will come, they'll have trouble maybe brainstorming that. Who wouldn't? I have trouble brainstorming as I'm learning alongside our learners at times. So ChatGPT will let's see like what are some variables and what are some functions that organisms have that could help us. And there we go. That's a great way to start brainstorming. So it's exciting to use.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. And talking about technologies, Norma, could you tell us how emerging technologies could impact the physical and mental well-being of individuals, both positively and negatively? Oh, you're muted.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea. So basically, we have been talking just now with ChatGPT and all these things. And we have been talking about many different emerging technologies. And maybe I will start with blockchain because I was firstly acquainted with blockchain. And as idea of blockchain was this transparency and this free distribution of value and also traceability and transparency of fair trade. And also it can be employed in the artwork for certification and for tracing of the arts, and it can be also employed for the intellectual property, means or for certification of diplomas, etc. And for on the other hand, we have this. I lost a little bit. We have this. There is the redistribution of value. So we have sharing. We can trace royalties. It is the very good thing for the of blockchain, and it is disrupting social distances, social geographical distances, social distances, and it is enhancing this linking without regardless of races of social background. So all these things are now being changed, and uh, so this is all very positive, but on the other hand, these systems are also very vulnerable, can be, because also at the time I was dreaming of global blockchain-based art platform, but it was not possible, and it is not yet possible even because of not possible interoperability of the blockchains. But idea is beautiful. But on the other hand, there are hacker and or those. So everything is like this, like one magic thing. We can do good, positive things with technology, or bad things. Everything is more exaggerated, more enhanced with these technologies, and it goes more rapidly. So, and for creation, or let's say for, we have been talking about Chat GPT. So everything now, it's more, we have to define why we are doing something. What is the but sometimes for creativity we don't have to ask why, we just have to do. And also I think with AI and all these beautifully created images, it's also they are quite similar. So we can take this as a part of creation. We can, and then we go inside with our intervention, like this. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, I also think it's very impactful the way this explosion of creativity is going to impact our mental and physical well-being, because uh, as we are getting more and more connected, maybe that can bring some benefits in terms of um, our emotions, how we communicate with others. But some of the drawbacks as well are, okay, we might be more connected digitally, but if we separate physically from others, what are the consequences for that? And we still are learning. This is so new. And also mentioning again ChatGPT, what are the impacts of the students using ChatGPT and relying heavily on tools that just give you the answers to everything you need to know. And maybe those answers might not be as accurate as we want. And they also can have bias. And so there are many, many things we need to kind of think about and explore. Yes, Alec, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's not only about bias and readily available answers. It's also about exercising your own mental abilities. So if you start depending on like for example, for simple basic mathematical calculations, if you start depending on a calculator, so when you're going to a market and you want to get some change back, so you cannot do a mental calculation. So it's all about where we should use it and where we should not use it, right? And that will come, especially for the early stage students, it'll come from the teachers, how they can guide them. So I think Christy can share better there, like how are they guiding students in the effective use of this technology. Like it's the same as kids are not allowed to drive without a license, right, till they reach a particular age. So it can definitely enhance certain abilities, the learning capabilities, ready answers. But who is fact checking those answers is also a good question.
Yeah, definitely. Christy, you want to jump in?
Well, I guess Could you ask like the specific question again? Like, how are we addressing Chat GPT at Prisma? Or do you want me to address how we would address Chat GPT or other transformative technologies in conventional education? I think there's, I think I want to talk a little bit more. I was a public high school teacher for 17 years before I started a self-driven journey to find a better model of education. So if I put myself back into 2017 in the classroom in a conventional school, I'm going to guess that Chat GPT is blocked, that it probably can't be used. It can only be used at home. Well, and then Turnitin.com might not pick up, right? Because it's AI generated. So, and I, without the right technology training from the top down, superintendent down to the student, it's something that everyone's going to fear. And without the right specialists that can show how to use all the tools correctly, then I fear that populations will be missing out on transformative technologies, because I missed out for a long time when I was in the traditional setting.
Right. And how are you implementing these technologies in Prisma?
Oh my goodness. Our learners knew about Chat GPT before we did. So already next cycle, we're going to have a big focus on using that. And at Prisma, as a mentor coach, in the one position that I hold at Prisma, I meet with my learners once a week for 15 minutes to a half hour. So I can use Chat GPT alongside of them and use it as we were all saying it should be used as a way to brainstorm or as a way to schedule your day. I mean, you could do anything with Chat GPT, but it's taking that time to walk alongside someone. And that's what makes Prisma just what I consider to be the best program out there. And because we do get to walk alongside learners, and as educators, we get to walk alongside one another and learn, and we don't have a lot of barriers in our way.
Nice. So
We really don't have any.
yeah. So scheduling your day using Chat GPT is a interesting use case. So how would you use that for scheduling your day? Would you put in all your planning, like that you need to do in the day, and then it would come out with a answer of when you should do what?
You could. I mean, one thing that I just did personally with Chat GPT is I'm packing for Colorado. What do I need for 2 weeks in Colorado for a packing list? Chat GPT generated that in 30 seconds. So I think that that's just a great way that we can use it in our own lives too.
Interesting. Nice.
So, and moving a little bit towards all this concept about regeneration, Danny, how do you think these transformative technologies, ChatGPT, blockchain, NFTs, could be taken into account to support regeneration, both in terms of the environment and social and economic systems?
Nice. I think that all these new technologies must be considered as a tool. They are not the end. All of these things, it's a tool. A tool for what? I like to think all the regenerative concept as a triangle. In one corner is the environment, in other corner is social, and in other corner is economics. Okay, so all these complex technologies help us to look forward develop something and create things about covering these three aspects that are fundamentals if we want to live in a better world, you know. So I think that the principal things is that all of these tools, we need to focus them in two concepts: adoption and adaptation, you know. But all of this process that we need to live to understand this, it's a beautiful thing because it put all of us in the same level, you know. The paradigm, the old paradigm on educational system is based on here is the professor and here are we the students that doesn't know anything. We are just getting illuminated by this guy that knows everything. These days, that paradigm with all of these technologies, I mean, forget about that thing, you know. Because right now what we have to do with all of these technologies is that all of us need to transform ourselves into constant learners, you know, and keep learning all the time, because today on today's classrooms I have seen how kids are teaching their teachers how to use these tools, you know. And it's really nice when professors are open to learn, but because it's where all the knowledge and all the triangle that we were talking about seconds ago, mm, create that impact in our society. I mean, not in short term. All the regenerative aspects you have to look forward into a long term, but it's there when you see the future or a new promising future, when you are available to use that technologies as a tool to adopt and adapt, and at the same time to transform the world. Use all of that tools to create a new world based on the value of regeneration, that it's also defined by take 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 I mean, be conscious about environment, social, and economic growth. Mm, I think that if we, all of us, focus our attention in use these tools to do that thing, in 10 years, we will avoid all of these things that as a species are maybe affecting us today. Um, we will be able to over that things and create a new, better world.
Yeah, definitely. And I think um, regeneration as a concept could be applied to every type of system, right? Instead of being kind of exploitative and taking things out of nature, taking things out of society and economy, we can also give back and preserve life and preserve creativity and preserve all these human values that we admire and we value so much. And I think it's um, very interesting how technology can empower us to take action towards regeneration and towards a more sustainable future, as you say. And I'm curious about, I think this question goes to everyone, but how do you guys think these technologies could be accessible to everyone, regardless of socioeconomic status or geographic location? Go ahead.
I can go, yeah. So I think the first at the point would be infrastructure availability. And infrastructure is something, which is usually provided by the state, like, and by private companies. So for example, if you want to talk about so regeneration as a technology, as a concept, is fantastic, but to get that awareness to the ground root level, right, you need technology and infrastructure both working hand in hand to be able to. So for example, like somebody creates like a nice internet service which is accessible everywhere on the planet, but if there are not smartphones, which are accessible to everybody, they will not be able to utilize that internet and learn about it. So once they have internet, then there has to be some education models around it, some teachers, some awareness campaigns which tells them about all this, that this is a way that you could probably do better farming, this is how you can leverage technology. Because like we sitting on a nice platform can talk about blockchain, right, and its abilities and advantages. But when it comes to implementing and like getting everybody involved, education will play a very big role. So once that is there, then you can think of scaling up, right? The models Danny talked about earlier, they're fantastic concepts, but how do you actually go ahead and implement it at scale? Like 50 or 5,000 people or 5 million people will not really help. That could be a good start, but over a period of time it has to be like multi millions and billions of people using it, right? Because in fact everybody's been using the environment, like for our food, for our clothes, for our transportation. So everybody needs to think like that of how they can employ these technologies.
I can comment. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So on a smaller scale, with implementing a virtual reality program in an organization or into a school or university, some things to consider to make this technology accessible is to enable the software to be used not only on a virtual reality headset, but also on a desktop computer. So that if someone doesn't have access to a headset, which can be cost prohibitive, then if they do have access to a computer, then it can be used on there as well. And some other things that we take into consideration at DLS VR is things like enabling hand tracking on the avatars so that someone who speaks ASL can be seen in the VR environment. And other ways might be to include chat or captions inside of the software so that truly anyone can utilize the technology.
Yeah, that's very important. And I think that with the natural language processor, it could help a lot, right? Because it breaks down how um, how we talk, how we write, and it can adopt that to people with disabilities,
Disabilities
inclusive for
inclusive for
everyone.
everyone.
Yeah, and it breaks this no coding process is very much for creative people. It's very helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
low code,
low
no
code,
code
no
is
code
very,
is
very
very,
important,
very important,
especially for
especially
us,
for
like
us, like
for instance,
for instance,
entrepreneurs that,
entrepreneurs
that don't
don't
really.
really.
Some of them have the tools to develop software, but most of us, it's very new, and in order to create ideas that transform the world and are scalable, uh, before you needed to have engineers. Like it was definitely a must, but right now there are many tools that help you create impact in a way that is accessible to everyone. So it's very, very useful to have these technologies to help us um, manifest in our reality what our dreams are, and quicker and easier. And
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm
I'm
just
just
I'm just gonna say, it's the engineers who are building those tools, right?
Definitely, yeah.
So so what has happened is it has moved from engineers building for everybody to engineers building certain tools which can be used by everybody without that knowledge. So the barrier to access is kind of getting reduced.
Yeah. And something that also is important for the implementation is the experience for the end user, like how easy you are creating that experience, and how easy you are allowing these users to use all the tools. and play around with them and express their creativity and learn from it in different ways. And going back to the opportunities, challenges, um, what could be a result of integrating these transformative technologies into education and wellness, and how can we best prepare for them? This one, anyone can jump in as well.
Well, I think technology in general, if we take a step back and besides emerging technologies, I think one thing for health and wellness is keeping kids in school. So we learned from the pandemic that we can do school from home. Some schools obviously were more successful than others, but what did we bring back to the education system that is protecting the health and well-being of students? For example, I can't give I could put it into chat GPT and let you know the statistics, but kids are still being sent home from school, out of school suspension. But are they being sent home with that Chromebook to Zoom into class and not miss instruction? I don't think so. I think they're missing instructional time. So we learned how to do certain things, but we still struggle as a society to merge it together. There is no reason that any child should not have 180 days in the United States of education. That's what it's required, even if their behavior is disrupting the learning of others. There has to be a way that they can learn. And again, I taught high school. This is, I'm thinking of high school age learners, but there has to be a way that we can use technology and emerging technology to make sure that we truly don't leave a child behind or whatever else our, traditional system puts us to do.
So that's not really a tech challenge, that's more like a human challenge, like how the people deciding those things, are adapting to technology, right? Are they receptive to it or they're not accepting it? Like I think Dani mentioned earlier, adaptability, right? So are they adapting to new technology? Like you are smart enough and talk about, chat GPT and using in your curriculum. A lot of people might not be willing to use it. They see it, as a hindrance, maybe to their old ways differently. So it's a fine mix, right? Who takes that call is something, which will be, it should always be, with eyes on the future. Does it help in 5 years, 10 years? If yes, that's what, should be the underlying thought process.
Yeah, and I think there just has to be a willingness to pivot in whatever industry you're in, and especially education. This goes back to what Christy was saying. Just how do we take some lessons that have been learned from the pandemic and implement those into the post-pandemic world, and how do we get buy-in for technology and just keep things moving forward? It can't be the way things were. And if you keep it the way things were, then you're not going to get the advantages and the opportunities that come with technology, like being able to transport yourself to another world, or like what someone on a different panel yesterday was saying, going into a cell in your biology class so you can see the inside of the cell through virtual reality. So there are opportunities with technology and things that we can expose learners to, but if we don't have a willingness to pivot, or people are unwilling to try new things, then that can be a hindrance.
I really love that expression of willingness to pivot. And that also happens to many companies. They are like just so comfortable with where they are that they don't see where the next disruptive innovation can come, and then they just crash completely. And this is like something happening to Google, because all like ChatGPT has disrupted completely Google search, and now they are decreasing their revenues. And how can they not only companies but educators can pivot in a um, like in a way that they adopt the technology and also look into the future and reason back, uh, and kind of navigate into the optimal way to empower communities and themselves to use technology. I'm curious about your thoughts on um, homeschooling. With these new technologies emerging, uh, what is the vision of homeschooling? Is it getting more accessible? Is it a good idea? What are your thoughts on it?
Homeschooling, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's. I was always very much fan of this idea, but the problem is really to be let's say you when you are alone with yourself. That's more difficult to be organized. So, but okay, with those interaction like we are now, it can be interactive also. But the problem is sometimes not to be pushed enough. But the good side is that we can expand our interest, the children's interest. So therefore it is very 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 good. So it was also, I think, the like in royal families, or they have had this concept of home teacher, but with governance, etc., and it worked.
Yeah, I think technology can definitely be a good way for homeschoolers to be exposed to other areas of the world or go in depth in more subjects. I think homeschoolers get a bad reputation for being isolated or kind of to themselves, or not having as much exposure to the outside world, maybe. But virtual reality could be a good tool for students and parents to engage them in games, educational games, or give them opportunities to dive into something a little deeper with VR from their home.
At Prisma, we serve homeschool families. It's kids that learn from home. And so we educate the parents. Well, actually, the learners educate their parents. And in the use of technology, and because of our model of 21st century education, our learners are building such beautiful portfolios. So when they leave Prisma, they don't have an A, an A minus, a C. They have, look at this beautiful podcast that I created that is going to tell you what I think happened to Amelia Earhart. And look at this design, a game that I made and submitted to the Games for Change challenge. So I think in our model, we are homeschooling with technology. If you are homeschooling and you're not using technology at all, I think that would be the equivalent of when you launch into the future, that would be like never entering a library, right? If I walked onto a college campus and had never been exposed to a library, well, that would be like never being exposed to a computer. Imagine, homeschooling without technology, and then your child goes to college and has never used Google Docs, or I don't know. So just, I couldn't imagine not immersing technology into every area of homeschool.
Definitely, it's really powerful tool, and it's also kind of embedded into our reality so much that I was telling my friends our phone is like an extension of our brain, and like we do everything, we
Yes.
talk with it, we study, we watch video, we do social media, we, it's part of our extension of our life. And if we don't use this technology, we're out of the system basically. We're completely isolated almost. So it's definitely both sides in the education have to use technology, either they are homeschooled or not. I think it's truly important, and just access to internet and technology is same as access to education basically.
Yes, I just jump rapidly, like Google, which is declining. It's all civilizations are like this. They are going up and they're going down. It's natural cycle. Yes. So now Google is this, but anyhow, it when I was small, there was not this possibility. So I was in library. I was completely lost. How, which, where to go? And now you click and tuck. You. It's amazing times for children to learn rapidly.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And as a closing question here for our panel, I'm very curious to see your perspectives on the role of businesses and governments that can play in promoting the development and implementation of transformative technologies and the impacts on education, regeneration, and well being.
I would like to go first. Mm, I will be so fast in this answer because it's basic. Business will lead the process, and the ones who don't will disappear or be relegated, right? That's all. From the government's aspect, it's a little bit complex because governments always will try to stop decentralization. All the initiatives that takes off the power that they have over people or over population, they will try to avoid that. But also, in the other side, especially specifically in emerging countries like Colombia, for example, governments that adopt it and adapt all of that technologies absolutely will grow so fast. Why? Because they will working on improving all the ecosystem and creating all the context to make the people grow, and if people grow, governments and states grow. But at the end of the day, mm, I think that the focus of all of that thing must be focused on transform the traditional education system. One thing that Christy was saying, and that I was really feel identified, and not just because I work in a project related with that, but because I was one kid that doesn't fit a lot in the traditional model educational system. Mm, it happens that education will create a domino effect. If we change the paradigm that now it's available in educational system, and if we pass from the education to learning paradigm, we will create a huge change in just one generation, and even more if we focus on neural learning. Why neural learning? Because neural learning is that thing that makes you learn by the experience, not by the theory, but based on the experience. And with my educational project, the ones that I have telling you a little bit a few seconds ago, one thing that we discovered is that the progress that one entrepreneur has to live to create a successful startup, or at least some venture, it's exactly the same process that the brain has to learn anything. If the only way that we have to prove that we have learned anything is that we need to create something. I mean, we have to have some result that transform the reality. I mean, could be a product, could be a presentation, could be anything that you can create using that knowledge. So it's time to change the paradigm and to transform our reality and understand that we are living in a complex system, not just studying one thing and do all these things for the rest of your life, and then you get retired and give a pension. No, it's about, we are in a complex system where all days you have to learn something new, and you have to be conscious that all of the things that you do have an impact. And if you as a citizen, if you as a people know the thing, you will transform your enterprise, your venture, your government, the world. And I think that at the end of the day, the principal role must be for the people, the persons that all of us, that we are creating something and working to be the world a better place.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, beautiful.
I would also like to add about businesses should get more immersed with schools, and learners should be out doing internships and apprenticeships, and virtually too. If I'm really interested in Slack, why can't I do an internship when I'm in middle school at Slack, and continue to do that throughout my high school career? And then I could get hired right out of high school, not maybe at Slack, somewhere else, get hired right out of high school, but then the government needs to meet me because I'm just proving that SAT and standardized tests and state testing, that might not prove, right, what our learners, what the future is truly capable of. If the system hasn't changed much since the Industrial Revolution, I think we need to change the system.
To bounce off of what Christy said, my thought with this is that there needs to be partnerships between businesses and governments so that there can be advising, developing, trying out, and payment involved in paying for the emerging technologies, making sure that, I think it's the collective working together that is gonna move things forward. And so rather than being like, oh, businesses versus government, I think it's going to be a partnership that is actually going to move things forward. Now maybe that's lofty, but maybe it's possible too.
Sure. I would also like to add, as I'm a part of World Metaverse Council, so we have also a group which will be working with governments, with academia, and so it is really crucial to the people on position can enhance this development. And I would like to read you one quote I have written already in 19. Just rapidly. So, transcending limiting barriers, we commit ourselves to live an invisible and yet unseen, merging arts and art therapies, technology and education, bringing together parallel realities, and enabling continuum of unique and original evaluation of material and immaterial art and research work to decoding system and transparency of blockchain. So
amazing.
Nice. Yeah. So I mean, so my closing thought would be the government, needs to create an environment where the industries and the businesses can flourish. So that's where, I see that they go hand in hand. The fighting between one and the other would definitely not work, neither for the government nor for the enterprise, and definitely the loser will be the public, right? The general population, the people who go to work and work for enterprises, and who are working in government institutions and stuff like that. So the best collaboration would be the environment and the ecosystem is generated and created by the governments, and which can enable businesses to flourish and help the society in general. You know, so that I think that would be the best combination. And whichever country has that, like it is, doing fantastically well these days. We all can see. And where there is a challenge, there's a conflict at a continuous and a big level. It's not so well. So it's a proven model, so to say. So yeah, so we all can do our contribution towards making that dream a reality, right?
Yeah, empower ourselves to create the reality we want to live in, and also inspire others. I think as leaders in these emerging technologies, in education, in well-being and regeneration, we have a great responsibility, and that is to inspire others. And every little action we do, I think it counts towards the things we believe in, and the world we want to see, and the world we want to leave behind to next generations. And also, gathering a quote I really like from one of our professors here in Holt. He said, sustainability is about um, fulfilling our needs without taking the needs of the next generations. And I think that's beautiful, because
Yes.
it not
It
only creates
creates
responsibility to us, but shows that our actions have a direct impact in future generations and the environment. I think it's really awesome that we met here. Thank you so much, all of you. It was a great panel. I'm looking forward to connect with you even further, and I hope a lot of people were inspired in this conversation. Let's keep working
Yep.
to create what we believe in.